Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. It's still Thanksgiving, so again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'd like to again switch things around. I guess if there's two ways to look at this. I mean, one is because I have such an eclectic collection, I have so many different interests. Not everyone shares that, so it could be that it's a little bit boring because you might see things that you don't really care about. So if you're like a doll collector and then this thing comes up, you're like, oh, what's that? That looks ridiculous. Or if you're really into statues and like the last thing you want is a video of a music box or something like that. So that's one way to look at that, is like, it's not very focused. And I think, other channels may be a bit more successful because they just focus on just dolls or just Legos, or they maybe put them in separate lists. And maybe if I have enough videos, I'll start making different lists, so it'll be more easy to filter through. But the other one, and this is kind of like how I am, is that sometimes, just like when you're doing search engines, and I'm sure everybody's done that before, or going to Wikipedia, or YouTube too, right? Like you start off looking at a few things, and then the program will suggest maybe other things I might be interested in. And sometimes they're wrong, but a lot of times the programs are right. And then, you just find yourself like your horizons broadening a little bit, and you find yourself maybe learning about some stuff that you wouldn't otherwise normally care about or know about. So hopefully that's what some of the people who look at these videos will take away, so that they would get exposed to some things and some aspects of collecting that they normally wouldn't be. So this is a statue. I did a review of this version of this statue a while back, a couple months ago, and that one was the green version. And this was based off of a art piece that I really loved, and I already went through an entire, I think, 15-20 minute video on what I loved about that and the pose, and I even, I think, showed the original artwork. So I won't repeat that. You can obviously go and check that out if you want to search my list of videos to get some more information. So this is the Gray Hulk variation. It's the exact same piece, except obviously it's gray. And my gray came with some issues. The webbing, namely this thing right there, broke off, and then I scratched them up. So it took quite a few months to get all that replaced. And so finally my replacement finally came just a few days ago. So again, just sort of looking over it and reiterating some of those things. The base is very, very heavy. The Hulk is very, very heavy. And I think he snaps on. I think there's a magnet in there. I can't tell, but he's built so solid and he's so heavy, he just sort of, thunks right in. Everything else is magnetized, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was. This is magnetized, that's magnetized. All the little Spider-Man pieces, he comes in 3 pieces, believe it or not, 2 arms and a body, that's magnetized as well. I think, again, that the paint scheme is pretty simple. There's not a lot of subtle shading. I think the sculpt is really awesome. It's a super accurate sculpt to the source artwork. He looks massive. His musculature looks a little bit cartoony here again, in terms of the abs and all of that stuff, the rippling muscles here. But again, it's true to the artwork, so I can't criticize there. And he kind of gives that exaggerated muscular look. Again, for those of you who are into comics, you'll know that different artists bring their own interpretations to different characters. Spider-Man looks really, really different depending on who draws him, who interprets him. The same goes with the Hulk. So, this version is a little bit cartoony, and I think that fits very nicely with sort of the theme of what's being presented. So I'm kind of taking a look at the, and again, I don't think there's anything bad about that. It's just that in today's world where a lot of these customs are just hyper realistic and over the top, I think both good and bad, this piece is a little bit simpler, okay? Something that kind of harkens back to maybe even the very beginning of the Marvel statue era with Bowen, who's of course much smaller than this scale, but kind of recall some of that, or even the early sideshow pieces. So nice and simple, but not a lot of subtle shading. They did some great work with the veins. They highlight the veins a little bit. There's a little touch of pink, with the veins down there, so I do appreciate that. It's hard to tell with the lighting here, but I think you can maybe hopefully see just a little subtle, color variation here. So again, in terms of the sculpt, love the sculpt. I love the massiveness of the Hulk compared with a little teeny tiny, version of Spidey right here. So again, it's kind of this little whimsical, funny, little vignette with Spidey sort of on the lamppost, irreverently, shooting the Hulk with a little blurb of a spider web. And even my mom, bless her, she's 78 years old, and she's from China. She doesn't really follow pop culture. She doesn't really care or know about that, but just to show you the fame of these characters. I mean, she definitely recognized Spider-Man. Spider-Man is very recognizable. I don't know if she recognized the Hulk. She just said just recognized the Hulk as this big hulking, right, brute. And she was asking me, she just told me, when she saw the piece, she said, man, that's a really interesting situation. And she's like, she asked me, what do you think, what did the big guy do, after Spider-Man did that? And I sort of laughed and explained to her, that's the joke. He's like, you don't know maybe what he's gonna do, but from the expression on his face, you have a pretty good idea what's gonna happen in the next couple seconds. And that's kind of the joke of it, right? Is this. So, again, I really love the whole setup, and just so happy that Peter managed to get the files and put in all that work to get it done. There were quite a couple of, issues with broken and scratched up statues, a couple grays, and it took us a while to get to this finish line, but we did. So I'm really, really happy with that. There's some really nice shots, over Spidey's shoulder. For some reason, I really like this shot right here. It's a very nice one. Oh, and one final thing. That's kind of one of the other reasons I wanted to make this video. Just kind of talk a little bit more about, the aspects of the piece and that type of thing. But one of the cool things I didn't do with the green, because I couldn't be bothered with it, is you can load these little tiny watch phone batteries or hearing aid batteries into the slot, which is invisible, and then there's a switch, and if you flick it on, the lamp, it actually lights up, and it's pretty bright, so don't look down on those watch batteries. They're pretty powerful, and we should have known that it could give a really nice light, because Hot Toys has been using them for a long, long time. And anyone who buys Hot Toys Iron Man knows the lights are really bright. So I think that's a really, really classy, sort of cool accent or a plussing of the piece, that you actually took the time to put a little bit of electronic there to give us that light. Because that's really cool, and it just really sets the piece off beautifully. So when you see this, I just think it's a great, great piece. The one thing here is understand that not all Spideys will be the same. So, this thing has to be connected here. It's under a little bit of tension, still it's good. And then there was some controversy or some complaint. Understand that where Spidey's grabbing that the lamppost, the edge of it, they shortened the thumb, and it looks like a break, but it's not. Hopefully you can see it from here. There it is. It looks like a sharp break. That's not a defect. They molded and cast it that way to give you a little bit of give when you're putting the magnetized arm there, so you don't snap the tip off. So if you don't like it, sorry. That's more of a design decision, but it's not because of damage. So there you go. We have the Hulk versus Spidey. It's one of my favorite designs of the two characters interacting. I think it's funny, it's whimsical, and I think it's a little bit aspect of statues that you don't see quite as much. And it's really, really cool. in terms of the limitation, by the way, they only made 20 of these. And unlike other custom groups, Peter doesn't do this for a living. He's not like, a custom expert or whatever. There are groups out there, obviously, where it's kind of a small business with them. They are often doing these. So Peter doesn't do that. He does comic book dealings a lot more than that. So this was kind of his, I think his only project as far as I know. So, for him, he didn't make any artist proofs, etc. He didn't do that to inflate the edition. So I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know about the green, it's been a while. I think there were 50 of those, and the gray no more than 20. So this is one of only 20 out there in existence, including Peter's copy. So this is definitely a very, very rare piece. You can also argue that the demand for it may not be that high, but I think if you're like a Hulk fan or a Spidey fan, this is just such a hilarious, unique thing to have. We already have the one with Hulk smashing the ground and Spider-Man leaping out of the way, but this is a lot different vibe. And so I can't imagine a Hulk or Spidey fan like not liking it. And for what it is, I think it's a fantastic representation of that. So really enjoy it, and hope that you'll like that as well. Just doing one more spin around, you can kind of see the bright lamppost lining up. So get a little bit closer, right here. This is kind of a great shot. All right, enjoy. And until next time, take care.